That's good, and it's about 5 minutes. 5 seconds delay. Yes, nice piano man says the sound is good. Silly Jeffy can hear us. C. Vincheta says Ryan, no paint. We'll get to that in a second. So we'll start the podcast over. Let's give it 5 seconds of silence, and then I'll start the intro again. This is Geek Together, the positively geeky podcast where geeks get together, talk about whatever's on their geeky little minds. This is a No Direction Hangout edition, so it's members of the network are getting together. We are going to chill and chat and paint while we're at it. So what's going on is that we've got the four of us here. We are going to be talking to you about things other than games that end in Finder. You know, just our various other interests, because we are multifaceted geeks, just in case you didn't know. And all of us are working on an art project while we're doing it. So, Param, why don't we start with you? Remind people who you are, in case they don't know, and what you're working on tonight.
All right, I'm Param. I'm the producer, co-administrator, and co-hosts of No Direction Network, and I'm going to be painting some minis that I intend to use in a Pathfinder game very soon.
No spoilers for what the game is or what the minis are?
I have no idea what I use them for. Usually, this is probably going to be for my home game, which I paint minis that look cool, and then I come up with encounters to use them when I have freeform like that. Like with the Frost Giant on the Mastodon mini. You remember that really cool one for More for the Giant Queen? Yeah. As soon as I got that mini, I was like, they're going to fight this. I'm going to find some way that they're going to fight this. And so I've got 3 different minis here. I figured I'd let the chat vote on which one I paint at least first. And that's going to be... we'll do that.
We'll finish up the introductions, and then we'll get to the voting.
Yeah.
James, you're a little out of focus. No, there we go. All right, you're up. Who are you, and what are you doing tonight?
I'm James. I write Code Switch. I'm drawing maps, because I definitely didn't procrastinate on any prep for this weekend. It's definitely not for a game that ends in Finder.
Can I just say, you make "Hi, I'm James, and I write Code Switch" sounds like a catchphrase?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really the simplest thing, and yet it's like, no, you say it with such specific cadence that
it's all about confidence whenever you say anything, and you can make anything into a catchphrase, really.
All right, I will have to learn speaking with confidence.
You, of all people? No. You're good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lauren, what are you doing? Who are you? What's going on?
I am frustrated. I let my friends come over and paint at my setup, and I come to paint this plastic Sister of Battle, and guess what I find? Brushes that are rock hard with paint. Nobody cleaned my brushes. I let them use my setup. They don't clean my brushes.
Not cool. They used it without you there?
No, I was here, but, I'm not going to, make sure you clean up my brushes. I'm not going to be that person. Okay, in all fairness, I am that person, and they still didn't clean up my brushes.
Yeah, and knowing your friends, it sounds like you need to be that person.
I think I'm going to... Here's what I'm going to do. And I told them I'm going to do this, and I am going to do this. Tomorrow, after school, I'm going to go to our local craft store. I'm going to get just like some dollar, just like boxes of brushes. This is what you people get to use. Y'all can use these brushes. Don't touch my brushes. My brushes are in a plastic boot that used to have a margarita in it. Don't use the boot brushes. Don't use the boot brushes.
What happens if they use the boot brushes?
Well, then they get the boot.
Thank you.
That's why they're there. They get the boot. I am Lauren, if you don't know who I am. I do things for No Direction. I'm told that I am one of our personalities. And tonight, I am trying something new. I'm painting a 40K mini. That's not new for me. I'm painting the plastic Sister of Battle that was just released. What's her name? See if I can read it inside out. Amalia Novina. I'm painting her, but I'm doing something different. I'm painting her while she's still on the sprue.
Normally you assemble and paint?
Yeah, normally I do. But, like my fiance went to Games Workshop on Warhammer Day, and he fought through the crowds. I'm told he murdered an old lady just to get this model for me.
And for the Emperor.
Who else did you murder for? And then the very next day, he casually went to a local game store and bought another one, because apparently they're just there. So none of it mattered. So I'm trying my best to do a good job on this model. But what I'm worried about, and this is the reason he got me a second one, is because I'm doing a custom color scheme. I don't know how it's going to turn out. It's a very interesting color. It is this. Ugh. Yeah. I
So
know there's no focus.
if you have that there, then how do you not know how it's going to turn out?
Well, because don't question me, Ryan. That's why. I don't know. It's I'm paranoid, and it's literally white and orange and gold. Like I picked like the most audacious colors that don't go with anything and put them all together. I mean, how would you ever have confidence in such a scheme? So I have two of them. That way, if this is as bad as I thought it was gonna be, I can do it different.
I mean, Gilded Creamsicle is a bold color palette, but I think it could work.
I like that.
Yeah.
I wish I'd come up
Popsicle
with
stick and
that.
all.
Yeah.
So the reason I came up with this order, the Sisters of Battle, they all come in orders, and each order gets like its own thing, right? That's 40k lore. This is a custom order I came up with for our Wrath and Glory game. It's like Pathfinder, but 40k.
Cool.
I'm running a Sister of Battle. I forget her name because it's been a month, because that group of friends is ridiculously flaky. And she's from a custom order. She's not from the Bleeding Heart or whatever, like the main one. No, she is the Order of His Undying Mercy.
Nice.
Also known as the Emperor's Misguided Children, because whereas all the other Sisters of Battle are like really faithful and like, for the Emperor and all that, the Order of His Undying Mercy is actually just a reform school for troubled youth. so they send the girls there that like they would normally just kill because it's grimdark and you just kill things, but these girls were like nobles' daughters, so it's like we really shouldn't just kill them because we're gonna like make the planetary governor mad. Just send them to the Order of His Undying Mercy, and that's who I'm painting is characters from that order.
It's the Battle Nuns Suicide Squad.
Yeah, exactly. And here's what's really special about this. This is my favorite thing about it, and so few people can appreciate it. I spent 5 years in the United States Marine Corps. The nickname for the Marine Corps is Uncle Sam's Misguided Children. So this is really close to my heart. Like, I really like this.
Oh,
I suppose Sisters kind of have a Marine Corps vibe going on, whereas like the Imperial Guard are the Army.
I play them too. They're my main army is the Imperial Guard. But no, you're right. The Sisters are a cult, and they're bloodthirsty. Nothing else describes the Marine Corps better.
All right. I haven't introduced what I'm doing yet, so I'm enjoying this conversation, Lauren, but we are going to be bouncing back and forth. So I am going to be making a custom Xavier Sever action figure. I'm not going to be painting miniatures tonight. So I picked up the other day Boss Fight Nude. This one is Pale Peach. And I've got some green stuff here. I haven't worked with green stuff since I did a RoboJoe custom for a contest on joecustoms.com. I want to say in 20 nothing, maybe in the year 2000 I did this custom. It's been a while. So I've got a second camera set up, which I will be switching to when I start doing my customizing. And I've also got the Xavier art that Sheppy provided because it's awesome. And for your benefit, I've rotated the Xavier art 180 degrees so that I can have my boss fight nude facing the camera. One thing I won't be doing is messing with the head. So I picked up this guy. This is Qual Varus from the Vitruvian Hacks line. And you might be able to see that he's got like an Elven Warrior helmet. That's kind of that beige blur.
There's too much glare. We can't see it.
So.
Okay.
That's an alternate head. So I can take this head, paint it up, and still have a fully functional action figure. I'd actually like to use his boots and his legs because if you look at them, they've got almost the exact same pattern as Xavier's.
Yeah, they're great. I love them.
He's got the little triangle there. The difference is Xavier's got like some kind of metal filling it in, which would be easy enough to do. But then I've got a pantsless or a legless elf. And I could take these and make them his legs. I haven't decided that yet. So for now, I'm definitely going to be doing Xavier's bizarre upper body shirt thing with green stuff. And then we'll see what we do with the legs. Because Xavier's pants aren't as characterful. Like the art is great, but it's not as important to the character. From I should mention Xavier's the character I play on Adventurous. So exactly what I do with the lower body will be a decision for the future.
You just need like for Xavier's chesting, you just need like thick looking bandoliers. I mean that would work, right?
No, if you look at the art that Sheppy did, and if you've got the Twitch stream open, Param did a great job of putting it there on the screen with me. So that's pretty awesome. No, it's actually there is some kind of function to this, even though the only purpose of the Xavier top is to show off his abs. But like I follow the logic of what Sheppy did and how he designed it. He really managed to pull off the only detail I gave him other than male elf that looks like Tyler Breeze. So
Who's Tyler Breeze?
Tyler Breeze is a pro wrestler. He was in NXT, jumped to the WWE main roster. They totally misused him. He was brilliant in the Fashion Police, and then they just kept jobbing him out, and it was unfair to such a talented wrestler. He's recently returned to NXT, where he's gone back to his Prince Pretty personality, and I've missed him. And in fact, I was watching NXT with Scarlett the other day. Tyler Breeze was taking on Roderick Strong, which one Scarlett was like, Roderick Strong, that's a silly name. Completely missing that Tyler Breeze is an equally silly name. But yeah, sometime during that match, she told me that she wanted to be a wrestler. So if I get another opportunity to meet Tyler Breeze, which I actually did one time at PAX Unplugged, which was really cool. The new story I'm going to tell him is that he made my daughter, who's 4 and who's probably not going to commit to this because she also wants to be a gym teacher and a scientist. For a second there, she wanted to be a wrestler.
I'm on her side though. Like Tyler Breeze is less of a stretch than Johnny Strong.
Roderick Strong.
Well, same difference. I mean, really.
He sounds like a updated Shawn Michaels. Is that like a fair assessment? I haven't watched
Tyler Breeze.
Yeah.
So if you think like when Shawn Michaels first broke up from the Rockers, that era of Shawn Michaels is very much Tyler Breeze.
Okay.
But like he comes to the ring with a selfie stick, and then the video he's filming is what's projecting on the giant screen behind him.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's great. And people chant Breeze is gorgeous during his matches to cheer him on, even though like everything about him says heel, but he's just so attractive. You cannot do this, man.
So I don't know what heel and jobbing him out means.
All right. Heel is the bad guys. Face is a good guy or a baby face. Jobbing means you're losing because it's your job to lose. You're doing your job.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's like being a minion in D&D 5e.
Oh yeah.
For your point just to die. Yeah.
All right, Param, I'm going to switch to my other camera and start setting up my station. So why don't you talk about the options that you have for what you're going to paint tonight?
Hey, yeah, so I am going to be painting one of 3 miniatures, and I'm going to let the chat vote by just shouting it out and seeing which one seems to have the most shouts. And that is the choice of the Deep Cuts Pathfinder Battles Skeleton Knight, which, you know, it's a cool looking mini. I like it. Then there is the Shambling Mound. This was actually given to me as a gift from a friend who I helped introduce to role-playing. So eventually this is getting painted regardless. And then, of course, the Owlbear. Now, all of these are deep cuts. I picked deep cuts because they're pre-primed, and I can just grab one and paint it real easy. So let's see what people are voting for, and I'll chat. The tools I'm using, I've got a set of tools here, and all these tools are brand new. I went on a little bit of a shopping spree about a month back to refresh my tools like I do every so often. So I'll be breaking in a lot of things. Savita in chat asked, is this a wet palette? What's the paper plate? This is my cheap wet palette, which is a trick I learned at Gen Con a few years ago, which is just a brown napkin. It's important that it's a brown napkin, so it has a semi-smooth surface, soaked in a styrofoam plate to the point to where it's almost wet, but mostly still holding the moisture in. And I will put my acrylic water-based paint on here so that it doesn't dry out while I'm working with it. It doesn't serve as a good wet palette, which I do have one, but it's in the house and I don't want to break it out for this. and which I could use to keep paint fresh overnight. But this means that the paint I mix today will last through my whole painting session, and it won't go dry. And it also helps keep the paint thin when I'm working with it. I'm using a set of Army Painter brushes that I picked up. I don't know how good these are. This is my first time using Army Painter brushes, but they were the only ones my game store had. I am using a brand new purchased Reaper's paint set starter kit because I built out a collection of GW paints last year or a couple of years ago. I did a blog about a starter paint set because that's what my game store had. And GW paint is fine and all, but I much prefer Reaper paints. I just like the thickness of them, their coverage. I just think overall they're better paints, in my opinion at least. And I like their dropper style bottles, and I don't want to empty my GW paints into dropper bottles manually. That's a mess. But there are some GW paints I still love to this day, and that's why I have a bunch of GW washes. These nice
I
premix
use Citadel washes.
Citadel
Yeah.
washes are great. So I have a whole, I have 7 of them here, depending on what I'm going to wash. But I always end up using Devlin Mud. It doesn't really matter.
No, Agrax Earthshade for the win. It goes on everything.
And my final thing, besides my cup of water, my water droplet so I can thin down my paints, and my paper towel, is my wooden candlestick holder. That's what it is. This is meant for craft jobs, but it's actually just a wooden knob that I can hold on to with some blue tack on one end, and I will stick the mini onto this so that I don't directly handle the mini while I'm painting it.
Now, earlier, before we started recording, you were talking all about the knob you were using.
Yes.
And I just assumed you were painting an orc. And I was like, oh, I didn't know Param got into 40K.
No, I don't.
Orc
I don't
lieutenants,
like
at least when
40K.
I was playing, are called orc knobs.
That's
man.
still true. It's still true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
No,
no,
man,
no.
don't get in the 40K. You'll lose your
I
soul.
mean, I just can't
True.
afford that. I mean, I can't keep a Pathfinder collection together if I'm also having to take out a second mortgage to afford Space Marines.
That's why they came out with Kill Team. You don't need 6 Marines. You got a whole game right there.
Or 4 Grey Knights.
Alright,
Or
so-
2 custodes. It's literally a 66 point custode and a 33-point custode. Boom. One team.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, it's
My
also
fiancé
it's probably important to say for people that are listening to this, while we are going to be painting and stuff and talking about how we're painting, we're going to be talking about nerdy stuff primarily. And the painting is what we're just doing while we talk nerdy stuff. So this is still intended to be an audio-friendly show.
Honestly, I'm not even going to focus on nerdy stuff. I'm just going to talk casually and it will be ridiculously nerdy. That's just that I'm just going to be a me.
Let your you shine through.
Yeah, for sure. Right now I'm painting with so you use Citadel paints. I use whatever my craft store has. These cost me literally $1 a piece. And yeah, and it's taboo to use craft store paints, which is why I'm on a personal mission to paint better than everyone I know using craft store paints.
I mean,
Hey,
I've
it's
seen
about,
misfit.
it's about the artist.
Yeah.
good painters do it. It's not impossible.
Yeah. So right now this one is orange soda because that's apparently what I've decided to do with my life.
So, James, you weren't far off with the creamsicle comment.
Yeah. I mean, I know colors. I've learned most of them.
So you're doing maps right now, James. What tools are you using?
I'm using a pencil, a bunch of paper from the art store that you use for business presentations, but I'm bad at business, so that's not an issue. I also have a cut mat because I'm going to be backing them with cardboard. Just because when you just have paper, it gets wet, it wrinkles, it crinkles, it doesn't last through a whole session. So I just have some cardboard. I bought a new desk as well, so I have a bunch of cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
This is all in an attempt to power level Alex's character for Gen Con. Yeah, so I'm running Wardens of the Reborn Forge. We finished part 1 last Saturday. We're doing part 2 this Saturday. So I want to get everything together because also I would much like the hand draw maps more often because I think they come out looking a lot better than the marker and Chessex, even though it's easy.
Now, I am really out of touch with society play. We're talking about a Pathfinder society scenario?
We're talking about one of their modules, but we're doing it for Society Play to get the credit.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so like you can do certain modules and they give like full level experience for the time invested, and they're parts of the module rather than the entire module. So like they did part A of a dungeon, and that was worth a whole level. So it was 7 or 8 hours roughly of time to get to a level versus the regular 12 for 3 scenarios. So bit more efficient.
Fangwood Keep is used a lot for that, right?
Oh, there's a couple that came out really good, like Ire of the Storm. There's one in Nadal, Gallows Fires. Those are actually able to be run in 4 hours, and they're meant for like lower level characters. Because I think as society went on, they realized that especially the low levels aren't as sacred as they were. In fact, this special like a year or two ago just boosted a character to 2nd level. So like they're getting some options to boost characters up. Because that early game for a lot of characters is really, really boring.
Level 1 suck, and like any game system, level 1 is just it's bad.
Level 1's so hard. We had a society in a local society where a guy brand new to Pathfinder was like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to play. I'm really excited. I base this character off of the pre-gen ninja, and the scenario just immediately crit him with a Geese arm. He took like 34 points of damage and never showed up again. So like,
Geese arm.
Geese arm. Sorry, I don't have the accent. The Geese arm took times 4 crit, just died outright, and we never saw him again. We're like, poor guy.
Like that's not like okay though, like you shouldn't just instantly lose to like 2 lucky rolls from the GM.
Yeah, no, and it was
so
just
much.
luck.
That happens so often.
I rage against first level a lot because it's like this is the most invested you will be in your character's non-mechanical aspect. And it is also the time when you can have the right ideas and just not be able to pull them off. And that's not fun.
Because you trained your whole life for this moment for a +2.
I cannot disagree with you more. In my local group, we just hit level 8, and I am as invested in my non-mechanical thing as I've ever been.
All right. Can we say on an average, though, most people will be coming in, they'll be like, I just made this backstory. This is stuff that it's like, that's the stuff that has weight. Whereas the mechanical stuff is just potential for the future.
Sure, but if your GM... Okay, so I've written a lot of Dear Dover Queens on this. I think that there's a lot to be said for your GM making that backstory part of the story going forward. Every other session should have at least some nod back to it. In which case, your backstory remains relevant, and you're always thinking about it.
I think that is a great observation and worthy of your blog. I ran Dead Sons, and I mentioned Alex's backstory once, and nobody else's ever. Because it was all about moving forward. No need to be who you were in the past.
Well, it's hard in an adventure path because, you're literally being railroaded, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way it goes. But like when you're running a home game and you're just writing the story as you go, oh, your uncle was kind of mean to you. Guess who's the new big bad guy? Like that keeps them invested in their backstories.
I like that he's not an evil uncle. He's just a mean one, like the one that would like take your candy whenever your parents would give it to you for being good.
Exactly. Oh God, Jesus! Why is he like that?
You're
Whoa! Did you strike a chord, James?
I don't know. I guess we had the same uncle or something.
Oh no!
You say this, but I'm putting together a Pathfinder game recently, and I wanted to start the group off at 3rd level, and the group said no and insisted on 1st level.
Ooh, okay.
Why?
Evidently, they want to do the whole level 1 experience.
Are they?
They also
new?
wanted
Like...
they wanted to roll stats too, but I insisted on.
Oh.
All right.
I get that like rolling stats is a sacred cow, but that cow needs to get butchered immediately.
But one of these players has like the stupidest good luck. I've seen this person roll on a 46 roll, hit the straight 18 stats, and I saw the rolls myself, so I know it wasn't faked. And
that's why it's a problem.
That's like, no, this can't exist. This will break every game. This will make your character so much better than all the others.
See, and I'm the polar opposite of that player. I famously, in the local group, will roll terrible stats every game, and now suddenly I'm playing every session that we come to sit down at a disadvantage, and I'm expected to have as much fun as the person who rolled all 18s naturally. Sure. No. I have too many words to say, and I will hold them all to myself.
This is getting dangerously close to no direction content.
Yeah, speaking of non-Pathfinder content, did y'all see the Big Eyes Smallmouth Kickstarter was funded in like 7 hours?
Whoa, I didn't see that. I didn't even know it started. I heard it was about to start, but
Yeah, it was going to start and then it got delayed, and that was the point where I realized I'm not giving them money until they actually have a product, but other people obviously don't think the same as me.
Well, hold on. Was it delayed because of the tariffs?
They just said it was delayed enough for no explanation.
Okay.
Which I'm not great on Kickstarters, and when you delay something and don't explain why, that makes me even more wary.
yeah, I mean, but
So,
the
Board Game
tariffs would be
Geek-
a great reason.
yeah, Board Game Geek just sent out. Well, so Board Game Geek sends out regular newsletters about, well, this is the stuff that's on Kickstarter now. And the one I got this week, I have never seen so few games on, like, new games on Kickstarter. And I'm sure it's because everyone was working out their budgets and stuff. And then suddenly it was like, we may need 30% more, which I've heard the tariff thing's been lifted. But
Yeah.
still, I'm sure it made a lot of people nervous about just how fragile their budgets were.
Oh, they're clenching. As soon as wallets get threatened, everybody clenches.
Yeah.
But it's different of not having something out versus saying, "Oh, we're doing this for 2 months," and then going, "Sorry, give us like 3 days." Kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
So one of the tools I'm painting with is dog hair, apparently.
By the way, when I first started 40K, I started with watercolor brushes. My first Dark Eldar are terrible. Like, they're toddler quality.
Coincidentally, I have the very first mini I ever painted right next to me because it's in my queue for models to fix. Let's see if I can find them.
My very
here
first
it is.
miniature was a Ralpartha lead miniature that it's probably good I
Yes.
don't still have.
This is my very first miniature. This just refuses to focus, doesn't it? It's just this orc boy. It's not
Well,
terrible, but
Yeah,
he
you
looks
can't
a
use
little blurry.
autofocus when you're pointing at minis. You'll have to manually adjust the focus.
I don't know how to adjust like a flat webcam.
Put like your hand behind it or a piece of paper, something.
Yeah, I was
that-
going to say a piece of paper.
Oh shoot, that's brilliant. All right, I'm gonna do the hand thing first. All right, here's a little bit there and there. Look, nothing. How do you do this? How do you do this?
comes in pretty clear.
Better. Whatever. He's literally the first model I ever painted. I don't exactly want to be showing it off like, oh, look at this fancy thing.
All right, so the votes are pretty one-sided. Everybody wants to see the skeleton knight.
I mean,
that was my vote.
Bust out your blacks, whites, and grays.
my vote was bugbear.
Bugbear.
Wait, was bugbear an option? You mean owlbear?
Out
Oh.
there.
No wonder it
changed-
didn't get chosen.
I
I
changed-
mean, I could go
changed
get a
the-
bugbear. I've got like a couple of bones boxes over there. I'm sure there's a bugbear.
this
Aaron,
dog
I'm
hair.
voting for a froghemoth.
I don't have.
I've never
a
seen that
frog
monster
penis.
used.
You've never seen that monster used? Oh, there was a
No.
Kobold Quarterly article with the
Mhm.
the froghemoth tadpole, and the froghemoth egg was like a trap. And so, like, I had a whole thing. I love the froghemoth in concept and execution. Oh no, I've had froghemoths attack my party. So in the forget what I call it, but I had an adventure that started at like 11th level, and then this was just kind of like a flashback. And so in that flashback, right away they had to fight a froghemoth because I had an opportunity to use it, and I took it.
See, the only thing I know about your scenario rating is I played Elven Entanglement after I finished Midnight Mauler in 2 hours, and the table there was just finishing that first fight, and they had already lost their pre-gen cleric.
Oh man.
So they're like, "Hey, could you ring her for us, please?"
So there's a couple of things I will say. One is that that deadly first encounter,
Mhm.
which one should be about an hour into the scenario because there is a lot of role-playing potential before that.
Mhm.
But anyway, so that was not my choice of monster. That was given to me in the outline. And two, where I will take responsibility is that I tested it with the lower tier. I tested it with the higher tier. Did not think to test about a low tier character playing up.
Mm.
That character is doomed. And that is the one thing about that encounter that I'm like, this is a mistake I have learned from, and I apologize to anyone that lost their character to that.
Oh, we pulled through. Like the rest of that encounter is actually really fun. Or the rest of that scenario is actually really fun. Like with the satyr and everything.
Vinced. A lot of people just skip Vinced.
Oh nah, how could we? He's too fun.
So one thing I was disappointed. My art order for Vinced
Mhm.
had teeth on either side of his eyelids, so that when he blinked, he was like closing mouths.
Ugh,
And they just skipped that part.
because that's disturbing visually and psychologically.
It's the wherever entanglement takes place.
I'll tell you, that would haunt my nightmares if I had to show that
Well,
or see that.
just keep that in mind if I ever GM for you, James.
Oh God, I think my stomach turn already.
Let's see.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about my tools right now. You'll notice I'm
Yeah.
wearing gloves, and that's because, it's just rubber latex gloves. That is because green stuff is toxic.
Oh,
And
really?
so even though it's minorly toxic, wash your hands and you're fine. But do not eat chips while modeling with green stuff. This is not emphasized enough on the packaging, other than the 16 plus on there. It's possible that whatever the recipe for green stuff is now has changed. But when I was originally playing 40K, that was one of the things you had to be aware of. As far as these tools, these are just dollar store versions of the dentistry's tools that I've seen modelers use. So it's basically straight blades. Some of them are curved blades. And so for a cut that, unfortunately, when I was applying it, I screwed up. That's what I used the curved blade for. Like, I just kind of went along.
The
I also-
elven curve blade.
Sure. I also had this as my rolling pin, but it's the green stuff stuck to it. And I don't know if it's because of a finish on here, but it didn't work. So unfortunately, the close might get a little bit thick, because when you are dealing with something 1/18th scale, you need to get micrometers thick. Otherwise, everything just looks bulkier than you want it to be. And since this is supposed to be skin tight, I especially want it thin. It's coming out okay so far. The back's not looking great, but that's just not where the attention should be. So hopefully I'll be able to recover from the thicker material than I was wanting. But a couple of things about Vitruvian hacks. Normally, it's got a ball jointed head, and normally action figures with ball jointed head, if you want to separate them, you've got to boil and pop. You've got to boil it so that the plastic becomes a little more lubricated and changes the shape. But Vitruvian hacks are customizer action figures, so you're able to pop it off yourself. In fact, in the pre-show, Scarlett was down here playing with this, and she about got it half off, which I'm impressed, because it's super stable when you're not customizing it. That's one of the real highlights of Vitruvian hacks. They are amazing action figures, and they are amazing customizing. They have amazing customizing potential.
Ryan, let me ask you, if it's appropriate to ask you, how
Go
much
on.
have you sunk in this project?
I'm glad you asked. I would have a lot more Vitruvian hacks if it wasn't so expensive. So this is a nude. The nudes, I think, are $15, $20. And it comes with no paint applications. It's just a single color. There's like 4 or 5 different flesh tones, but then there's also just like, if you want a solid yellow guy, there's a solid yellow guy. If you want a chrome guy, you've basically got your Silver Surfer action figure right there.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with, let's see, I've got 3 sets of feet. So these are the bare feet, so almost like spandex. The ones not the bare feet, but the no details feet. He's got bare feet. And then there is also the sandals is the third style. So if I end up going with these feet, I'm going to go with the spandex ones to make them look like boots. I've got 4 heads. I've got 2 sets of hands. So you're getting a decent amount for your $20 there. And then the $25 ones, this is $25 American plus shipping. So for me, these guys are almost coming up to $50 normally. Oof. They come in a cool package. They've got a couple of extra parted parts. Actually, let me show off some of the other guys. This guy's really cool. So this fire fits in his hand. This book also has an open version in the back. And they don't have a picture of it, but in the art, you see that his book is open and fire's coming out. You can do that with the pieces.
Huh.
That's all pretty impressive. Like, the reason I ask you this is because if this turns out well and it's something that you're really proud of, would you consider taking commissions to make more of them for other people?
I would. So one thing I didn't get to is that this was during Pride Month. They decided that all of their nudes would be 20% off. They had a really cool ad where they used all of the different colored ones and they made a rainbow.
Ooh.
That's cool.
So I jumped on that. And then at the end of the month, they said also the series 1, which is the Roman mythology ones. So like this dude is from the Roman mythology era. They are also going to be 20% off. So I would have bought much more if I had known that second sale was coming, because the nudes were still for sale then. And then the other guys I have are from the fantasy line, which is their series 2.
Mhm.
And that one didn't go on sale. So the 3 figures that I bought are still the 3 figures that I would have bought. I will show you the third one. This guy, I am thinking will turn into War Duke. Or I might just keep him as a cool action figure. Not everything is for customizing. Oh, but for customizing, I did get a second nude. This is Champagne Beige. It's the darker skin tone. And that is going to be Mono Hombre, my luchador style guy from my Curse of the Crimson Throne campain.
I would lose my mind if I gave you an amount of money and returned a lily. That'd be so much. I might die.
All right. Well, I will think about the parts that would go for it, because Lily's got, at least in the art, she's got a pretty bulky outfit. So I wouldn't be able to just use green stuff to make her entire outfit, unlike Xavier, who is, skin tight and mostly, at least topless. So if I could find a hack that lines up with Lily enough that I could just embellish her costume, yeah, I'd totally be into it. And I would let you know what I think that would be worth.
Yeah, maybe you'd have to dip into like Detective Barbie series. You just need like a nice like petticoat that looks traveled in, and then you glue a spatula to it, and you're pretty close.
So these are 4-inch. It's 1/18 scale. So Barbie stuff would not work on it. I would need to look at G.I. Joe's and Marvel Legendary and no, not Marvel Legendary. What's the name? Marvel Universe, Star Wars. Oh, yeah, there's definitely. Oh, you know what? I think my dollar store has Rose in Imperial outfit.
Who's Rose?
Rose from the second one, from Last Jedi, the one who goes to the casino with Finn.
I don't remember.
You don't remember
I
the
have
casino
a bad
scene?
memory. I remember
Okay.
that it existed. I know they were riding around on some animals, and
Yeah,
somebody
so
was
her.
shooting at them. I don't know who it was. I remember Finn's face. I don't remember anything else.
Okay.
It wasn't a very good movie, y'all. Let's not.
I disagree.
You shouldn't. It wasn't a good movie.
Wait, do you really disagree, Ryan?
I loved The Last Jedi. There's a whole Geek Together about it where I was shocked that people disliked that movie. It's like I thought it was exhilarating. I was amazed at just how far along they went, like that they advanced so many plots. A lot of it is also I don't like J.J. Abrams because he leaves threads loose. And so this one was the movie about tying up loose threads. It was like it made Force Awakens a better movie because I had confidence that stuff that happened in Force Awakens wasn't being wasted.
Do you feel like he tied up the threads though, or he just ripped them out and let the sweater fall apart? Because that's totally what I was experiencing.
So just because they didn't go traditional routes, like he went a variety of different ways with how he was tying things up. The Who is Rey's Parents mysteries, I don't even remember actually being in Force Awakens. I just remember it being fan speculation. So I was surprised it even came up as a plot point that he then immediately dismissed. And like killing Snoke off was probably the one that was like maybe there would have been more to that character, but it set up definitively that what's his name? Ben. What's his cool name?
Kylo
Jedi.
Ren.
Darth. What's
Kylo
his
Ren,
Darth name?
What's his Darth name? Yeah, it's
Darth
set up
Kylo.
that Kylo Ren is definitely the villain, and yet still potentially redeemable. So it's like the Darth Vader redemption at the end of Return of the Jedi just kind of happens, and it's not foreshadowed until like 2/3 of the way through that movie. Whereas this feels like this is a series that is specifically about whether or not Kylo Ren gets redeemed, and not just because of Force Awakens, but because of what the Last Jedi did to advance that plot.
Yeah, but I liked Rey. And
Okay.
She got the shaft.
How did she get the shaft?
They were like, oh, the fans wanted to know who her parents was, so
Yeah.
he just stepped on that. He just stepped on it. It wasn't even in there, and he went out of his way to step on what the fans wanted to know.
I guess I was curious why the fans wanted to know that, because I never cared. I just figured, okay, some
Shipping.
people don't have interesting parents. In fact, one thing that frustrates me is when relatives show up in movies and it's stuff, and it's just like, there's a whole universe or there's a whole world. Why are the only important people all the members of the same family? It's what killed Heroes for me. I was a big fan of Heroes until it became all about the Petrelli family.
Here's why the fans wanted to know. We had Princess Leia and... Is that it? Is that the only female character that was really relevant in Star? Yeah, that's why we wanted to know.
Mothma, how dare you?
Yeah, she's who we had, Ryan. We wanted a little bit more for her because she's who we had, and we felt like Star Wars maybe owed it to us because it's the first time since Leia we got something.
But I don't understand because you've got Rey now. Rey is awesome.
Yeah, so who's her parents?
Who cares? Rey is awesome.
We care. You know who Luke's parents are. Who's Rey's parents?
Okay, we know Luke's dad is Darth Vader. We know who Leia's parents are. The same people.
Yeah, Leia's parents were important. Luke's parents were important. Who's Rey's
Han Solo
parents?
parents?
Nobody. We know now. He went to an orphanage. Who's Chewbacca's parents? Who's anybody's
Han Solo
parents?
got his own movie. Like
Chewbacca's parents are detailed. They're the expanded
met.
Not in the movies. They're not.
Yeah. Okay. Good point.
I thought you met Chewie's parents on one of the prequels that we don't talk about.
You mean Chewie?
Yeah,
Chewie. I thought we met his parents in one of the prequels.
No. We met Chewie's parents in the Christmas
Star Wars
special. Yeah,
we met Chewie.
The holiday special. Too. Sorry, it's not the Christmas special.
Y'all, I like how those little backpacks. I do like the white and gold. You can't see anything; it's so blurry. I like the white and gold, but it's when the orange comes on. I shouldn't say that. I like that too. I like it. I'm just scared, y'all.
There's no reason to be scared. If people don't like it, the units still kill people all the same.
No, I'm scared I'm not going to like it when it's done. Like, I like it while I'm working on it, but I don't want to, like, sit back with the finished product and say, why'd I do that?
I mean, you don't get better without making mistakes. I mean, I'm a good cook, but the amount of bad food that I make is staggering.
Yeah, but you know what you do get without making mistakes? Quality products.
No, I still make a ton of mistakes.
Okay.
Also, I got my map done for one of the rooms. Yeah, it's drying. Let me not move it too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this bad webcam shot can catch all this off-white I'm painting onto light gray.
Yeah, it's really coming along.
You know, actually, I'm really surprised that like I got my skeleton bone out, my skeleton bone color from Reaper, and like there is very little exposed bone on this skeleton knight. It is mostly knight.
Emphasis knight, yeah.
Yeah, it's a knight.
I like that.
I mean, how much flesh is on a regular knight? Not much. Kind of fits within that. Yeah. Have you ever tried wet palettes with the like a dish sponge over top of parchment paper?
Yeah, I mean that's the traditional wet palette, and I really would like to have used that now, especially because my my brown thing sure ain't working.
That's too bad.
Yeah, this worked real good at Gen Con, and it don't work so great here. But I was
wrong brand of paper towel, perhaps.
I didn't want to dig my wet palette out of my box, which is at the bottom of my box. And
what are those napkins? Are those from what's that place with the biscuits?
That
Cracker
place
Barrel.
with the biscuits.
No, this is a Little Caesars napkin. I suffered through a cardboard pizza to bring this home.
No wonder it's not working. That thing is inundated with grease.
Hey, you get a good
they
bargain
don't
for $5.
pre-soak the napkins in grease before they give them to you. This isn't a used napkin.
So, I think I've talked about this before, but Quebec has the highest food safety standards in North America. So growing up as a kid, we didn't have Little Caesars. So it was something I looked forward to going when I went on trips to Plattsburgh in the States. And you are just destroying my memory, Param.
Little Caesars was great, like 20 years ago. It was a good pizza place that had they specialized in these large square pizzas that they cut into little rectangles. And they eventually decided that, what's an untapped market? Pizza you can afford. And so they started making $5 pizzas. Like literally, this pizza cost $5. By the way, it costs $5 because we use the cheapest possible ingredients we can get.
So I actually know way too much about Little Caesars because I like learning about food and food companies. Little Caesars is based off of a Detroit style of pizza, which is half deep dish, half not deep dish. Little Caesars actually went through a remarketing or rebranding because they lost most of their revenue. They went down to a very few amount of stores, and part of their resurgence was this affordability platform. And it turns out, just like deep dish pizza, all you really need to do is throw a bunch of cheap carbohydrates and cheese into something. And even if it isn't actually cheese, it'll still act like it. Like, it's a... It probably used to be better. Probably. We didn't have one. It closed when I was like 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they weren't popular down here.
I get a bunch of Little Caesars for my local gaming group all the time. And I mean, we like it. I mean, we're not wealthy, so the fact that I can afford like 4 pizzas to give my friends, I'm grateful for it. You know?
Yeah, I mean it's edible.
Yeah, I'm not above it.
So now, when we did get Little Caesars, they were called Pizza Pizza. We have Pizza Pizza up here.
That was the old Little Caesars, yes.
Well, that was always the motto.
Ours are still
Pizza,
Little
pizza.
Caesars. Ours are still called Pizza Pizza.
Well, that was the
be.
Little Caesars motto, so it might still be.
Okay. It's probably a language law thing. Because
It might be that the branding worked up there and they kept it.
no, I'm going to say language law. Because even though most American companies get away with it, you're not supposed to have English in your company names up here.
Yeah, but that's Italian.
Little Caesar. Little is not Italian.
Pizza is.
Pizza Pizza is fine. That's why I think they get away with Pizza Pizza,
It just
but not
can't be
Little
English,
Caesars.
pair 'em.
Why can't your companies have English names?
To protect the culture, Lauren.
Yeah,
To
Lauren,
protect the culture.
this is a deep dive of Quebec culture, but
Hold
like,
on.
I live in an area of the world that is 70% French. And my English is amazing because I'm an Anglophone. And my French is terrible unless I compare it to somebody outside of Quebec. And then I am a French god.
So you can't go to a place that has donut in the name to get a donut.
Let's see. We do have Dunkin' Donuts, but I think they spell it in a branding way, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
DUNKN, and yeah, Donuts doesn't really have a good spelling anyway.
Well, and they're changing their name to just Dunkin', aren't they?
Yeah.
They're doing that
No,
here.
I think they're changing it to DK.
Donkey Kong? That's already taken. You can't do
Oh,
that.
you're right.
Okay. Donkey Kong.
And you know what? I was going to say donut might be a French word, but no, it's like a Fringlish word because bang is the French word for donut. But I think
I
it's
think
just,
you donut know what you're talking about right now.
I'm correcting myself.
God, I feel like there's an etymology for donut, and I'm just forgetting what it is.
I have a feeling it has something to do with dough.
So you couldn't get like a sandwich from a place with like sandwich in the name, like Jill's Sandwiches or something. Like
Lauren,
you couldn't
we
have that.
can't have restaurants with pun names.
Unless they're French.
Well,
Unless they're French puns, yeah.
That's a public service, though. Like nobody wants that.
I feel like the word donut has to do with like Belgian or Dutch or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just remembering food history wrong. Where did my X-Acto knife go?
Yeah, I'm
Well,
not sure
I'm
what
having
country originated donuts. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Americans.
Hey, James, I'm having some weird paint issue. My
Yeah, what's happening?
paint is capitulating.
Oh.
Wait, like receding?
Yeah.
So it's probably too thin at that point. Like if you add water, you probably have a little bit too much water on it.
Crap.
I don't thin my paints. I'm a heathen.
Well, I only put the tiniest drop of water in this. Let me look at this. This is Master Paint Series, so it's supposed to be thinned.
Is this? Well, yeah. If it's is that the Reaper stuff?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess
If it's already thin, don't add water to it.
Like Reaper is known for paint from the bottle. Like
Yeah.
it's good
Don't add
paint
water to that.
Like before this, I was having to make do with like Vallejo, and that stuff is freaking molasses syrup compared to Reaper.
I mean, this is literally apple barrel. You know.
You thin
From
that.
Walmart.
Please thin that.
I refuse. It doesn't thin very well.
It's amazing. It's like you're doing good paint jobs while voluntarily putting your hands behind your back.
I really am. Yo, let me go get some of the stuff I painted just to prove that it's capable. I'm doing it. You can't stop me. This is my time too.
Okay. And down, I used it straight from the bottle. It was too thick. So,
Oh, but I forgot everything's gonna be blurry, so it doesn't really matter what I go grab. I'll just sit down and keep
So
playing.
yeah, then just give a small drop of water and then just keep adding drops of paint as you need.
Yep. Darn it.
Here we go. One of the earliest mentions of donut was in Washington Irving's 1809 book, A History of New York. And they were, let me just read the quote here. Sometimes the table was graced with immense apple pies or saucers full of preserved peaches and pears, but it was always sure to boast an enormous dish of balls of sweetened dough, fried in hog's fat, called donuts or oily cooks. A delicious kind of cake, present scarce known in the city, excepting in genuine Dutch families. So it probably came from Dutch from oily cakes, or related to oil cake, which means that. We probably used a different word, but the etymology in America is probably from Dutch.
Welcome to Geek Together, y'all.
Joker Plays is from, or he's a Dutch person. He says it's not a Dutch word, but maybe it's still a Dutch food.
Yeah,
transplanted.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I before I realized it didn't make any money, I wanted to be a culinary anthropologist because travel of food is awesome. So, but it doesn't pay. So,
still, that would be cool.
Yeah,
One of my favorite Freakonomics episodes was about was it a basically like a gastrophysicist?
Oh, like a food scientist, but about digestion.
Yeah, and it's like, so if you freeze a hamburger and then flash fry it, you will get this result, and it's like all kinds of cool science-based ways of just going crazy in the kitchen.
Yeah, I would have actually taken that for my major if I was confident in any of my math ability.
I just love science so much, y'all. Like, I'm a big fan of science.
You would be, being a professional scientist and all.
Being an actual scientist.
And it's not like you just play one on the podcast, like some of us do.
I always forget that, and it's funny because I absolutely despise chemistry with a passion, but then Lily's kind of a chemist.
Why do you despise chemistry?
I just don't get it. Look, I'm
okay.
You think I don't know about Shokugeki no Soma? Go ahead.
So I'm going for biology, right? Like I've got my BS in biology coming up real soon. I'm real close. I'm on the cusp of getting it. But they make me go through all this chemistry stuff when I'm really more of a wildlife biologist. I'm here to study the fishes in the ocean. I don't want to study the carbonyl attacks on the hydrophilic centers of the allylic zones. I don't want to do that.
Lauren, that's the most interesting thing you've ever said. Tell me more.
That's how soap works, kind of.
I refuse to talk about the carbonyl attacks on the allylic centers. And I'm certain that I'm butchering that, which would get me an F in the class that I'm in right now. I'm doing Orgo 2 right now, and I've never hated anything as much.
Wow.
Org is fun. You get together with some people, you all hate each other for 8 hours a day studying, and then you're done.
I'm in that same class. I sit right next to one of the folks from my local group who refused to wash my brushes. So it is true that we hate each other right now. Or at least one of us hates the other one. You know who you are.
So I don't know if it ever has come up in Stellar, but my character Cliff actually has ranks in Profession Farmer. And I got to use those because I looked outside, and I actually am finally growing cauliflower.
Wait, are you talking about James is growing cauliflower?
Yes.
Okay.
He learned it from Cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just making sure Cliff isn't growing them on like the wing of the starship.
I mean, the wing is not a great place for cauliflower. They're definitely an aft plant.
You know what I forgot? Tweezers.
Mm.
Oh, I learned it. Here, I've got some. Just take them real quick.
So it is 10. I do have to duck out because I have work tomorrow.
I'm not going to finish this model, y'all.
Before you go, James, Joker Plays in chat says there's an anime you might like called Food Wars.
Oh, yeah. I'm very familiar with Shokugeki no Soma. I'm already up to like the final volume of the manga, and I'm very excited for the new season. I don't know if you're into anime, Ryan. It's probably not your thing.
I am not.
That's okay. We don't have to like the same thing.
I have fond memories of Sailor Moon, and that's where
that is okay.
Akira one time, it didn't blow me away.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's where I'm at right now. I learned this trick from a proctor, an online proctor, to where you can take a picture with your phone and you get a little bit less blurry.
Ooh.
A little bit.
That's a good picture.
See, it's coming out. It's still kind of blurry, but it's it's getting there. It's getting there. I'm not gonna finish. I can't believe it's already been an hour. That's what happens when you geek together.
Well, it was like half an hour in before we started, so
Oh,
like
that's
before we
fair.
actually started the brushing on the model
Yeah.
part.
I'm done with all my dreamsicle parts. Like those are dreamsicle orange. But I'm doing my gilded now.
Dreamsicle.
Hold on.
Is that a brand of creamsicle?
Yeah, that's what
Isn't
you call. That's what you call them. You call them dreamsicles.
I call them creamsicles.
That's because you're Canadian and you keep your milk in the open.
A dreamsicle.
We don't keep it
is
in the open. We just keep it in a clear plastic bag.
A dreamsicle is an orange creamsicle. You can get a non-orange creamsicle.
What
You
kind
can
of
get a
heresy
non-orange
is that?
creamsicle, but creamsicle by default is orange, and then the other ones are just other colored creamsicles to me.
Oh,
Hmm.
vanilla creamsicles or chocolate creamsicles?
Hold on. What are we talking about? The popsicle side or the ice cream?
The
'Cause
the
to me,
soft fudgy
or like cream.
popsicle. It's actual cream frozen in popsicle shape.
Fudgy?
Yeah.
It's a little consistency wise. It's not like chocolatey, but I guess it could be.
You can get chocolate ones.
I'm sure you could get chocolate ones up here, but like default is white cream.
All right, the next geek together, we're all going to our local store and getting dreams/creamsicles, and we're just gonna review them together. That's how,
Sounds good. But speaking
That's
of
how
together,
this-
so James, if you're going, do you want to give a shout out to your article, your podcasts, anything else about?
Yeah, Stellar. That comes out alternating weeks from Adventurous. You get to hear me, Lauren, and Pam. I also write Code Switch. I'm off tomorrow. No, I was off last week, and my next article will be next week. I do want to jump real quick, way back because I didn't see
Skipped
it
because
this time.
of personal reasons. So
Yeah.
you are off tomorrow.
Right. Man, your name's hard to say. Civic Haida. Of all the miniatures from Deep Cuts, they make a unicorn miniature that is amazing. And if you don't have a unicorn miniature in your collection, you don't really have a collection.
I like.
Wow,
the
I guess
Deep
I don't
Cuts
have a
lot.
collection.
Sorry you had to hear it this way.
Wait, if you don't have that unicorn or any unicorn?
Any unicorn.
Oh yeah, okay, I got a
Oh.
unicorn.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, I know you have a daughter. You probably unintentionally have a unicorn somewhere.
I
I
mean,
have
not
a unicorn.
as far as
with a
miniatures. The
knight on it.
miniature unicorn was Tina's because she played and they could get a companion, and one of the companions they can get was a unicorn, and then she upgraded to a coatl.
That is a good upgrade.
Yeah, the healer class is super cool.
And
More than just what it says on the box.
Lastly, the module that we're running is Wardens of the Forge Reborn. Really cool. If you do play it, make your GM use the primal magic effects because it'll make them afraid to use wands, and that's hilarious. But have a nice night.
Thank you. You too. Thanks for joining us, James.
Good to see you, James.
Yeah, take it easy. See y'all soon.
James, Param, you got to do any reframing?
I'm gonna have to reframe everything.
Okay. We're just going to keep
Y'all.
going, though?
Yeah, y'all keep going while I take care of the framing. So
Y'all,
what I
I'm a
just
little
got
bit
done.
sad.
Oh, you sad?
I'm a little bit sad. I wanted to ask y'all a question, including James, but I'm too
Ah.
late. I'm too late. I rolled low on initiative.
All right. Well, what's question? Like, can Param and I handle it without James?
Yeah, you can. It's just I wanted to hear each of you guys. Look, I'm kind of subjecting you to an impromptu bend the knee right here.
Okay.
All right. I'm
Like,
okay with
I
that.
mean,
I w-
I gotta have to move the table out the way.
So the point of bend the knee is that I can ask questions that nobody asks me. So, but it's kind of like I can live vicariously through my guests or through the people who answer it. And that's what I want to ask you guys right now. Tell me about what's going on in your local game. Like, who are you playing? Like, what's your story that you're running? How's it going?
Sure. Now, this is very much no direction topic. And I know
Is
you
it?
don't listen to any of our podcasts.
Don't
but
call me out like that, Ryan.
I think if you listen to any of the podcasts, you would know some of that question at least. But I'm okay covering it again. I mentioned earlier that the other figure that I was planning on customizing was Mono Hombre, which is my vigilante brawler in my Curse of the Crimson Thrones game. He is monkey themed and a luchador. And so far, I've played them once, and I enjoyed it. And
Am
we've
I
got
in
our second
trouble?
session tomorrow night. Why?
You sounded kind of like, I'm not angry, but I am disappointed.
No, I am focused on Xavier's belt, and I'm talking about Mono Hombre.
Okay,
I don't know
so
how I could be talking about Mono Hombre and sound disappointed, though.
Disappointed in me.
Oh, yeah, no, we're never disappointed in you, Lauren.
I don't have a lot of time, y'all. Organic chemistry. Organic.
I've never questioned why you don't listen to the podcast. Podcasts aren't for everybody, and you are extremely busy. And the fact that you have time to contribute to the network means more to me than the fact that you don't listen to the network.
I'm grateful. I love this network, and contributing to it is almost therapeutic to me.
Wow.
I say almost because it's still a lot of work, but it's work that I enjoy doing, so it kind of evens out.
Excellent.
Perrin, what do you have going on at the local game? Or is that also content?
Well, we're between games right now, because if listeners might know that we finished up Reign of Winter and have been playing Mutants and Masterminds between then waiting for second edition to come out so that we can play a whole bunch of second edition. And besides that, I got my other home game, which is first edition and will be converted to second edition. And then, of course, we have my PFS duties, which I'm doing alternating Pathfinder Society, Starfinder Society right now. And the Starfinder Society is actually this Saturday, so I'm looking forward to that.
How many tables do you figure you're going to be seating?
2. We seat 2 every week. Sometimes we have enough for 3, but not enough that we can plan for it. I need more GMs.
I mean, that's the age-old struggle, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. But the problem is I get GMs and then I burn them out.
How do you... just
stop
run
that.
every game.
No, it's like, I don't know. I guess we had a rotation going, but eventually people burn out. I mean, that's just how it is. I am not enjoying painting this deep cut.
Oh, man.
I normally do, but I am having this capitulation problem constantly. And I think there's release medium on this figure that says it's primed with Vallejo.
Did you wash it?
When I hear capitulation, I think military units surrendering. What are you saying?
I mean, when you put the paint on the mini, it pulls back and recedes in a water-like fashion.
Huh. I wonder why I think it means something very different from that.
That's because it has more than one meaning.
That's how that works, Ryan.
So you're saying words can have multiple meanings?
Yeah.
How has nobody told me about this? There's so much potential.
I'm sure there's a law against explaining English.
I mean, I think I should have washed this mini. I think Lauren has the right of it.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like, a release agent shouldn't be on there after they've primed it. I mean, it's weird.
That's why I didn't think I'd need to. I know you have to with the bones.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the point of the deep cuts, right? Is that you can just open it up and start painting it?
That's supposed to be the point. Let me look at this box. Expanded. Nothing on here about painting.
And I'll be honest. I think that the whole release agent thing is a myth. I've primed over so many things I'm supposed to wash first. I've never had a lick of trouble out of them.
Primer is a different sort of paint. That stuff will stick to just about anything.
Right.
I mean, it'll stick better without release agent, but normal acrylic paint will not stick to something with release agent. And the bones models are a prime example of that. You can paint bones without priming them. Yeah, you can paint bones without priming them, but you gotta wash them first. They do not paint straight out the box.
Bones just feel that kind of like, it kind of feels satiny in a plastic way. Does that make sense? I mean, you can tell that you gotta do something with it.
Yeah, and I'm sure chat is just like going wild about the course I screwed this one up.
I can't. I wish I could see what's going on over there, but at my painting desk, I cannot.
All right, I'm at a good point
Hydroponics
where I can
is
check.
Matt J. Harris is talking about hydroponics. Joker Plays is talking about, all right, I'm going to take note from James's playbook and get some sleep. So good night, Joker.
Good night,
Thanks, Joker.
I'm going to just paint pure paint out of the bottle and see if that fixes it. Like the other cause of this would have been I have my paints not mixed up enough and I'm getting too much medium inside my pigment.
Wow, I don't even. I just that's above my pay grade.
But this looks like it's mixed really.
So look, I've been painting for a little over 2 years, maybe under 2 years. I don't know, not very long. I have no idea why you're using a wet palette. I don't know what the advantage is there.
A wet palette keeps as the paint. If you put paint on a normal plastic palette, because it's acrylic based paint, it's water paint. It will dry much quicker than other types of paint because of evaporation. And when you put it on a wet palette, which is a wet surface with a barrier like parchment paper, or in my case, I was using a Little Caesars napkin that had been completely soaked with water to the point that it should have been at capacity. Then as the paint starts to dry up, it drinks the water from the wet surface to replenish itself, and it will not be as subject to evaporation. So your paint will not dry out on you while you're using it.
Okay, that sounds pretty useful.
It is super useful when you get it done right, and it is worthless when you screw it up.
How can you screw that up? Is it like not enough water or something?
When you use a napkin from Little Caesars and it just drinks your paint up worse than if you used a paper plate.
I probably shouldn't have started painting this. I ordered the matching white for my Army Painter primer, and I didn't go pick up the matching white. So I'm just going to be using Deco Art white, which is literally blasphemy in a bottle, but it works for me.
I mean, you mean not blasphemy, you mean heresy.
That's correct. Thank you for paying attention. That was awful nice of you guys to ask me about my home game. I really appreciate that.
Hey, Lauren, how's your home game?
I didn't want to mention it because it's the enemy.
It's the enemy? What do you mean?
Is it a 5e game?
Oh, yeah, I can't talk them into. So one of us really wants to jam. It's like, fine, you can jam, but he only wants to do 5th edition, and so I've been stuck in this 5th edition game for a long time. I say stuck. He's an incredible GM, despite being relatively green in the horns. A greenhorn, is that a thing? That's a thing.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
green,
yeah.
yes. Greenhorn?
Yeah, no, they say that. Oh, he's such a
Greenhorn
greenhorn.
is a newbie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So, for that reason, it's like, okay, I know why we're doing 5th. 5th is a little bit better for plays. It's a little bit easier to recapitulate in your brain. Does that work? Is that stupid? Okay, that didn't work. Yeah, I was trying. Yeah, so I'm a character in it, and it's good. I have a cool character. I'm proud of her. We had to homebrew a lot of it because the way I design a character, if anybody's read my DDQs, I don't tend to do things like, oh, let's open up the book. This class looks fun. If I put it with this race, I'll have an advantage because of the pluses. I don't care about none of that. I think of the character in my head first, like, what if I had a Viking warrior priestess who's descended from the blood of Freya and is one of the Valkyries, and then like, all right, which classes are going to fit that? And that's exactly what we did in 5th, and we found out that none of the classes fit. So we kind of like homebrewed paladin a little bit. So like now she's kind of like a paladin. We replaced one of the paladin abilities with, instead of whatever it was, now I can just summon like a spirit from Valhalla to fight alongside me, and it's been really fun. We killed a big bad guy 2 sessions ago, which means that last session, the king who we saved just gave us like this big ball to like clear our names because we were framed for like all kinds of bad terrorist stuff, and they
Framed,
brought
or did you murder hobo and deserve it?
no. This is an incredible group. Not a one of us has murder hoboed in like 8 months. I'm very, very proud of these folks. They're playing like champions. Very proud of them. But yeah, we got framed for like blowing up one of the cities, but we went in, we saved that city. And
Wait,
what
how did you
happened?
get framed for blowing it up if you saved it?
Slods and polymorphing. We got framed because like they polymorphed into us city, and then
Maybe
we
I'm
got
just
sent to a penal island after that.
What was left of the city after it blew up? I think that's what Param's stuck on.
yeah, like
Oh,
blowed up sounds like the opposite of saved to me.
okay. They blowed up like key places in the city, so like there's still homes and stuff. People like live there, but as soon as they did that, an army of plant cultists moved in and turned the people into plant zombies. So we
All the
went in,
people?
all the people, all the
What did
people
you
turned plant-
save?
We went in there and we killed like the big plant zombie, and then all the little plant zombies died, and we found the king hiding under the throne room. So we saved the king.
Okay.
Oh, so by saving the village, you saved one person who just happened to be the king.
Yeah, but I mean, like a lot of people are gonna move back into town. Like they migrated out. They had like an
Okay,
exodus away.
you saved one
you know?
person and buildings.
Okay, we were real proud of this. You don't have to rain on this parade. You don't have to.
You have the participation trophy of campaigning.
Somebody else can talk. I'm just gonna sit here and paint. You guys are ruining my life.
Oh,
I'm
all
sorry.
right. I am pretty happy with this. I'm gonna have to go over it with. How's my framing, by the way?
Your framing's all right.
All right, so I'm gonna have to go over it with a fine sandpaper. But as far as capturing the layers of just straps of leather, I think I got it. And now I'm gonna start texturing it with just. I guess just lightly poking with my finest dentist tool. I guess is this guy.
How's the night coming, Param? I like that red that I see you doing.
Yeah, I decided I didn't want it to be all black and boring, so I'm going to put red armor on this horse and knight. And he's going to be a big old crimson knight, and then be much more scary. But don't you think a crimson knight's... If you see a skeleton knight coming at you, and he's all red... Don't you think that's scarier than the skeleton knight coming at you and he's black?
Oh, for sure. That's why we named our party in the local game the Crimson Order. But you don't want to hear about that.
I sure do, as long as they actually save a town.
No.
I don't even care if they save towns. Tell us about it, Lauren.
No. You don't get to hear about it now. I wanted to tell you about my character. I want to tell you about her name is Sifrun Algot von Freya Stotir, because she's a daughter of Freya. She's very Viking.
And Atir is Viking for daughter?
Freyas for Freya Dotir, so daughter.
Oh, Dotir, okay.
Yeah, Dotir. Kind of like, how you have the Bjorn son of Bjorn, it's like daughter of Freya. It's like that. But at this ball, for the first time in like the characters, like in like 3 years, the character was kind of like asked to leave her homeland by her dad because her mother died on her watch. So for the first time in 3 years,
Freya.
He gave her a hug.
Aww.
It was very nice, and it meant a lot to me as a player. It was nice because we spent a lot of time in this game. We have a lot of investment. We even ordered art for these characters, so like it was nice. It was a nice thing. A good reward for saving, I guess, only the king.
Matt J.
Somebody
Harris
asked me a
says
question.
Paint the town red. Okay, Ryan, you're
Yep.
going to be at Gen Con, but you're not going to be
Yes.
Gen Con representing KD. You're going to be representing this company called Blind Ferret, right?
Sure am.
What's Blind Ferret do?
Oh boy. All right. Blind Ferret is an advertising company,
Wait, what?
primarily at this point, and it has all kinds of entertainment divisions because advertisements need things like cartoons, they need things like creative writing, they need things like artwork. And so we get to do all kinds of just cool projects to pass the time while our department's not being used for the advertising side. And me, especially as the special projects, I'm the special projects director, but I like the special projects manager. No, sorry, I'm the special project manager. I like special project specialist. Yeah, so I tend to be the one with the most freedom because it's basically like, we need words. Here's some words. Then I get to go back to what I'm doing. We are also known for the comics we publish, those being Least I Can Do and Looking for Group, and a few others. Gutters is the one that's retired that probably has the most fans from its time. It's just Gutters was like a satirical comic about the comic industry, and so we couldn't monetize it other than for advertising. Like, you can't just put out a t-shirt with a funny looking Spider-Man and not expect Marvel to be like, you have to pay us for that Spider-Man t-shirt. So that's unfortunately why that comic went away. But Looking for Group, Least I Can Do are both going very strong. And for the longest time, I was doing our products. So we were doing games, we were doing t-shirts, we were doing just any old thing that I could come up with, including an action figure, socks, belt. A lot of my apparel is clothes that I have designed, including the Kale Scale Mail t-shirt that I absolutely love.
I've seen you in that more than anything else.
So here's the thing. One, it's sweat wicking, which is wonderful because I'm a very sweaty man. But it ends up also being a great aquatic shirt. And I am also a very hairy man, so I feel self-conscious about swimming without a shirt on. I also don't like getting sunburned. So for a lot of reasons, I like swimming with a shirt on. And I was looking at buying a swim shirt, and it's like, these things are like $60, and they're made of the exact same material as my Kale Scale Mail shirt. So I'm just going to start wearing this in the pool. I wear it under my shirts when I'm worried I'm going to be sweating. I wear it just sometimes on its own. I wear it when I work out. I own like 7 or 8 of these, and it is my favorite shirt, and it did not sell, which is why I have so many of them. But it is everyone else's loss because this thing is amazing.
I wish that was Katie's uniform now, just because it'd be hilarious if we all showed up at Gen Con wearing it, and you're like, how'd this happen?
I can make that happen.
I would wear it. I would wear it.
Good to know.
Not like
so anyway,
not one that fits you though. Like, you wear like shirts made for Paul Bunyan. I need something a little bit smaller.
They come in different sizes, Lauren.
Yeah, but you said you have like 7 of them because they didn't sell. Like, are they all 7 different sizes?
No, it's not like I have the last 7. There's more in the warehouse. I just didn't take the smalls.
Go get me a small, Ryan. I would wear it
Maybe
as often
I will,
as
Lauren.
you do.
Maybe I will. Well, I doubt that. So anyway, right now what I'm doing at Blind Ferret, now that the game division unfortunately is closed down, is I am working with Laughing Dragon, which is our animation studio. I am doing a lot of script revisions because that was actually what I went to school for. That's my first degree, is in creative writing with a specialty in script writing. And yeah, so a lot of it is like, we've hired people to write scripts that are not necessarily screenwriters. And so I just do reformatting. I do repacing. I also know the brand very well. So jokes that don't quite fit what we're going for, I'm able to rewrite. And I'm also, because when Somer goes to pitch our brand stuff, he also has an opportunity to pitch several other things and see what the market is for right now. So he'll often come back from one of these animation conventions and be like, give me 5 pitches along this subject. And so once again, I'm in this amazing job where I just get complete creative freedom and get to do all of these things that I was getting a degree for. And people are like, you shouldn't get a degree for that. You should get a degree that you can actually get a job and make money. And I've kind of like forged this job around me that only I am completely qualified to do what I do, because I have to be able to be creative in a variety of ways and be extremely flexible about it. And it's really working out, and it's been a lot of fun. I've had to, see some projects fail, which I would have liked to have seen succeed, but because there's always the next project, I don't spend too much time dwelling on it, and I'm having as much fun now as I ever have at the company.
Earlier today, exactly, I asked you to tell me kind of how you got started doing all that stuff.
Well, you asked me to get started in the board game industry, which
I thought
step
Blind Ferret
5
was board games.
No, Blind Ferret board games was me.
Oh man!
So Blind Ferret started as like it actually started as comics. And then Somer knew that to get the comic out there, he would have to pay advertisers. And when he was looking into what advertisers charge, what advertisers do, he was like, we could just do this. So he started he and Randy, his partner, who doesn't get a whole lot of credit, but is absolutely essential to to Blind Ferret's function. They started in the advertising branch to Blind Ferret, which eventually became just more reliable and steady income. And so while we always had the opportunity and the freedom to work on the comics, the the advertising side was bringing in the money. And I was eventually brought in as a freelancer. I pitched the Looking for Group role-playing game box set. That's the first time I pitched a product to Somer. As a freelancer, it was like, this is a very rare opportunity that you get to be like, here's a product that you should pay me to do for you, and then you should pay to produce. Like, I wasn't licensing it. I was telling them, make this, and I will help you if you pay me to do the help. It's like, never happens that way. It's usually either, here's something I want done, I will sell it to you, and then it's all on you, or it's pay me and I will make this product using something of yours that not pay me. I pay you for the right to do something. Nope. I managed to get them to pay me and produce the thing, which is just bonkers.
Do they know that they shouldn't have done that?
Somer liked the arrangement that I proposed, and it did eventually get me hired at the company full time as just me. Like, anytime he needed something creative done, he had me there. Hold on. I pitched this, I wrote it, I sent it in. My part was done, and then it sat there for over a year because they never had somebody dedicated to developing it. So then eventually they hired me full time. And one of my first jobs is developing this product that I've pitched and sent to them, which, again, absolutely should not happen. It should have gone to then an internal person. It's just I happened to then become that internal person. So the LFG game came out. It sold really well at the Gen Con that it debuted at. We had some follow-up projects. And then what was I doing in the meantime? I think I was just doing... There was some period where I wasn't necessarily pitching products. I think I was just on the creative team. Yeah, strangely, I don't remember the second phase of that job. But eventually it was like, the person that is doing the product development is now going to be doing more logistics. So you handle it. Oh no, I think I was just kind of helping him with stuff. And eventually I was pitching the ideas that would become products, because by then I'd figured out how contacted Chinese manufacturers worked and how to price and quote and get quotes and stuff and project, and eventually created my own system of how I would pitch the projects to Somer, where it would be like, step one is, here's 15 ideas. Which ones do you want me to spend any amount of time seeing if it's worthwhile? He would narrow it down to just the ones he found interesting. And then I would go into all right, so what are the comparable products? What do they charge? What would it cost us to make it? Could we potentially sell this product for the cost that that comparable products are sold for? Would we have to sell higher? Would our audience appreciate that? That was like the research phase. Once I knew whether or not there was a reason to continue the development of this product, that's when I then get into the creative phase. And the way I described this at the industry insider panel that Owen hosted and that I crashed at PaizoCon was that step one is Notepad. I just write whatever junk comes to mind. It doesn't have to be a developed idea. It doesn't even have to be a good idea. If it's just something that I want to put out there and see what the universe thinks about it, that's what I do. It doesn't even need correct spelling. Once the Notepad phase is approved, I take the ideas that were approved and I put them in an Excel spreadsheet. This is the very technical side. Make sure this is a product, not just an idea, not just something that would be fun to do. If it is a product and there is a market for it, move on to step 3. And this is where Microsoft Word comes in, where I have to do the copy. The copy has to be good. I have to make art orders. I have to make sure that they are clear and concise and that the artists understand what I'm going for, that I am speaking to them in a way that they get inspired and can be creative where we have flexibility for them to be creative. And then after that, I guess we go back to Excel just to finalize everything, make sure that all the numbers still work. And and then products are made.
How often does the numbers stop working?
So the way I was told we needed to make profit changed. And so At one point, it was just like, as long as this is our margin, we are happy. We will continue to do that. Eventually, we wanted to make the creative side more profitable on its own, because the way the numbers were working, if we didn't have the advertising side, would not have been sustainable. We were able to sell a product that we have a much smaller print run at the same price that other people are selling much larger print runs, because we were able to, like, it was one part promoting our own brands, and one part we were kind of being funded by this other side of the company that needed us to exist. And so they were basically sponsoring us to have this creative freedom. Once we said, like, no, let's treat the entertainment side like it's its own thing, and not have to rely on the advertising side for like for funds, then some projects that were in development stopped making sense. And that's one of the reasons that Ruthless, like, one of our criticisms when Ruthless 86 went to Kickstarter, is that we were asking for $70,000. But that's because at that point in that development, we were basing it on, this is the amount we can spend on this because we're going to sell it for this and it's going to cost us this. And then when a percentage shifted radically, it's like, ooh, if we want to make that margin, we need to make a lot more money on this project than we originally speculated, and the market told us that they were not willing to do that. This is also the reason that we went to Kickstarter and not just tried to fund it ourselves.
That's very complicated.
My crimson knight here, he's quite red. That's a very bright red, and I'm going to bring that down when I put a dark wash on it.
I'm learning how to not let my wash completely ruin my white on these, because I'm not used to painting white. I'm used to painting like my Imperial Guard, which are like, I'm running Valhallan, so they're like a gray blue. When I put the Agrax over it being all brown, it kind of just makes them look dirty, which is exactly what I want. But these sisters, like, this armor was supposed to be like white, and it's just gray.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gray. But I'm doing highlights on it too to kind of make it look okay anyway. I'm thinking I'm just gonna water down my Nuln Oil a lot, and that might help.
So
My
I
left
still
arm
haven't.
went to sleep.
Oh, that's bad.
It's because I've been leaning on it painting. So
Fair
here's
enough.
a quick tip for people getting into mini painting. Do get your own little wooden knob or something. So I know people use pill bottles or use paint cans, or heck, you can just go to Walmart and grab a salt shaker, but don't worry about the salt part, and just blue tack. You can find blue tack in the office supply section, because you don't want to handle your mini. The other thing is, when you're painting, the best way to make sure that your paint is more controlled is to rest both your hands against each other. So when you control the brush, the involuntary movements of your hands will be reflected also on the mini, and it will move with your hands, so you're only moving the brush in intentional ways.
I am learning today, and I thought I painted okay. I don't do any of that, and I bet I could improve. I do this weird thing where I like to rest the mini and my hands on a knee.
That'll do the
And that
same
kinda
effect.
Yeah, that helps me stabilize like a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know some people paint very close to a table edge and lean both their hands on the table edge for the same purpose.
That might be what I'm doing literally right now.
That appears to be what you're doing literally right
Okay.
now.
That's cute.
Oof.
Brian, I'm impressed by what you did with Xavier's current green stuff outfit.
Thank you.
It actually looks pretty good.
I've decided that I still don't know if I'm going to use these legs, but I have moved on to his, what is this called? Loincloth area.
Mooncloth area. That's
Yeah.
the family-friendly way of putting that.
Well, he's got this double loincloth thing going on there. So it's not a loincloth, but it's closest I can come to name whatever that part of his costume is.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I just overlapped it, and it looks like they're blending in together to be one big loincloth. So luckily, the lower one is textured. It looks like he's got leather on the top and chainmail on the bottom. So hopefully, when I texture it, it will look like the layers it is meant to be.
He doesn't wear chainmail, does he?
He does.
Chainmail?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I don't talk about what he actually wears beyond what he reveals, but
Yeah, you talk about what he doesn't wear, and that's something on his chest.
Yes. which is where I'm at right now.
Also, anything unfashionable.
Oh man, yeah. Do not even talk to Xavier about unfashionable.
Yo, I need to figure out how to make Lily useful in combat. She's not very useful in combat.
Wait until we get into a combat with not Karok. Shoot, what is Jason's character's name?
Oh, well, that's true. Ogdrin.
Ogdrin, yeah. Ogdrin is our new tank. And we haven't had a tanky combat or a tank-worthy combat since then. We just had the joust, which he did well at.
Well, we had the Manticore.
Oh, yeah, we did have the Manticore. And he took it down, right?
I think so. Yeah, but I mean, like, I need to be pulling my weight in combat, too, you know? Like, I can't only pull my weight in social situations. And even then, like, I'm accused of being a liability quite often.
Are you? By whom?
By you need to act more like a noble woman.
Oh, yes. Well, that's not a combat
when
liability.
You're actively pretending to be a noble woman, yeah, you have to act like one.
I mean, I could be a poorly behaved noble woman.
Well, that
you are a poorly behaved noble woman.
See?
That is exactly the cover I went for in The Last Adventurous.
I think it's very fitting.
I was like, oh, we'll just make her a rebellious daughter. That will be the perfect cover for her unwily ways.
For my antics. I haven't learned the ways of the world yet. I still love the common people for some reason.
So naive.
I am, as a human in real life, am a little bit naive. So it's honestly just me being me.
Whatever was wrong with my color red, because I'm using brown and it is going on perfect.
Oh, all right.
Are you using which red are you using? Is it the Reaper red?
Yeah, I was using, and this is unusual for their colors. Their paint is usually like the best stuff ever. This was heraldic red, and I don't know. Maybe I need to like add some more medium to that bottle or something.
I haven't tried the Armory Painter line. I really should. Like or not Armory Painter, the Reaper line. I have tried Army Painter. I haven't tried Reaper.
Army Painter I find to be like halfway between Vallejo and Reaper, so it's not bad stuff.
Is Vallejo
Yeah, that's a pretty good place to be.
Vallejo is really thick paint, which isn't bad if you want thick paint.
The best painter I've ever met in my life swears by Vallejo. I've learned so much from him.
I mean, I will use Vallejo if it's what I've got. But you have to thin Vallejo.
Yeah, I mean, I use apple barrel, so I really have no room to talk.
I will use apple barrel if it's what I got. And I have, actually. Because it was what I had once, and I had a mini.
And I'm sure it turned out fine. Cheap paints look, it just bugs me that folks be spending $8 on one Citadel pot, and I can get 8 paints for that, you know?
$8 is like only like their most like expensive specialty stuff. I spent like $3 on this Citadel, like $3.75.
Right on that Citadel?
Yeah, see right here, $3.75.
Wow. Well, I'm not used to that. I don't know what I've been looking. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Oh well, you know, you have a point. This Golden Griffin says $4.25. Maybe I.
Well, their new contrast paint absolutely is $8 a bottle.
I'm not impressed by what I've seen of the contrast so far. It just looks like base coat plus wash.
Yeah, but it goes on in one step.
Yeah, but wash is like so easy. You just saturate the brush and then throw it at your mini and you're done. It's the easiest thing.
Yeah, and again, you do both of them at the same time with that stuff.
I want to try contrast. I'm not a fan, but I haven't tried it yet. I've just seen it. So I really can't put my money where my mouth is.
Well, I can't either. That stuff just came out and it's expensive and it's sold out at my store.
It sold out at my store too.
I have a bottle of brown contrast in the other room that I was planning on using for Xavier because you know, most of his color scheme is shades of brown.
If you want to pass it real quick, I'll try it on these holsters.
Yeah, sure. Let me just get it for. Oh, I don't want to screw up my mic setup though.
Well, I would do it for you, Ryan. I would pour it through the internet for you.
I mean, this Geek Together just got extended to next Tuesday.
What?
As we wait for the paint to be
arrive.
Oh, yeah. I get it. That's great. That's great.
You know what? This piece I just put on should have gone on top of the chaps.
I'm honestly just glad I was able to catch this. I had to miss the last one because I had to study for an exam, and I felt so. I really wanted to come do this with you guys.
Yeah,
It
and
is
I
good to
don't
have
think
you,
I'll be
Lauren.
able to make many of these. So
Mhm.
when I just kind of had a good night, so Tina and I alternate putting the girls to bed, and tonight was Tina's night, and I was doing a lot of work, not a lot of work, a lot of parenting with the girls over the last week, and so I kind of had a free night coming to me. So I was able to use it on this, which I am really glad because I've been. Not only do I enjoy hanging out with y'all, but I have been meaning to get this Xavier action figure going for a while now. I've had the pieces for most of a month.
Well, and when you're done with it, why don't you figure out how much you would charge for commissions?
I will let you know.
Because
I've
I would.
definitely the whole Artful Friday thing that we're doing on Facebook. One of my plans was to do here's what Ryan's doing with a Xavier action figure. What non-art/miniature ways have you interpreted your character? But to do that, I needed this at least some stage of this Xavier action figure to be done.
I cannot wait to plug the artist that we hired in a local game on an Artful Friday. But she's on vacation. She just graduated art school, so we're still waiting for that to get done. But I'm so excited to just give her all the credit she deserves.
Cool.
I've seen her other work, and it's very good.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. Anyone that has any artists that they'd like to shout out for our Artful Friday, let us know over Discord or the usual means, and I am more than happy to share cool stuff.
Go grenade goes in this pocket.
You know who we
Yeah.
should shout out to then?
A lot of people, but maybe Sheppy and Chris
Sheppy,
Kimball.
for sure.
Yeah, they'll.
But yeah, since Sheppy's art's been up on the thing the whole time, and the only reason I know what Xavier looks like is because he did the cool adventurous art.
That's true.
Yep.
But yeah, who else, Pam?
That was it. I was going to say sure.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I agree.
I had a lot of disjointed ideas for Lily in my head, and I'm sure that my art order read the exact same way. And somehow he put them in a blender and just made it work so well. I mean, I couldn't have been more impressed.
Well, I think all the details that you provided, the thorough line was Cooking Mama.
I had a little bit more than just Cooking Mama.
No,
Okay.
it was the through line, though.
Yeah. I had the through line was Lily is a cross between a hard-boiled Gotham detective and Cooking Mama. And that's exactly what he captured.
And now we got some brown on there. This ain't working real well. Actually, the brown's doing much better than the red is.
I just finished my orange and I just finished my gold colors. Doing black now, and then this is actually almost done. I don't think I'll finish it in the next 12 minutes, but it'll be done soon. I'll put it on the
It's
Discord.
almost 11.
I
Yep.
know.
This is about an hour longer than I intended these to last. These are only supposed to be an hour little hangouts.
Well, it was good though. I had a good time. I don't ever get to hang out with you guys outside of a work setting, so I mean, I know this is technically a work setting, but it doesn't feel like it.
It's one of those things where our hobby is practically a job.
Right? A side hustle that makes us depressed. Is that what it is?
A side hustle that makes us depressed? Is that what you said?
What was that? What was that funny article that wasn't quite the Onion, but it kind of felt like the Onion?
Oh, yeah. Beaverton. Beaverton is like the Canadian Onion.
Yeah. Turn your side hustles. Turn your
Turn
hobbies
hobby
into
into
semi-profitable
a barely profitable
side hustle.
hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was great.
That punched too close to home.
Way too close to home.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was shots fired on that one.
All right. I believe that my green stuff work is done, other than small things I'm going to do here and there after I sand them down. So I am officially going to use the boots and the head from, nope, not Felonius. That's the wizard. Here we go.
Those boots were good, though.
Calvaris. What's that?
Those boots were good, though. I saw those. I was like, those are what you need.
Yeah. So I hope I've managed to maintain articulation. I know his arms are articulated, The chaps are supposed to be a separate piece from whatever attaches them to the belt. They feel like they're blending together. So that's probably where I'm either going to have to chisel out some leg articulation or just accept that I have made an action figure with an inarticulate lower body.
So I knew you were into GI Joe, but I never realized it was like also as an action figure thing. I didn't even know there was an action figure hobby scene.
Right. So what
I'm
happened
learning a
was
lot.
when I was getting into GI Joe, the first website I found was yojo.com, which is still the best action figure database of any toy line I've ever seen. And whenever I think about looking up other action figure toy lines, I'm like, so what is the Yojo of this toy line? And it's like nobody is as comprehensive and as like interconnected and as just thought out as yojo.com. But what it's not is a community. It's just a resource. And so the only community I found, and this is when I was 18, so like 1998, I was looking for a GI Joe online community, and I found a message board called joecustoms.com, which is exclusively, or maybe not exclusively, but its main purpose is as a database of customized GI Joes with a message board, which I think originally started out as, you know, a place you can trade tips and stuff. And if people are looking for different parts to make different customs, that's where you went. But then it just kind of spawned into, even though it's got this customizing GI Joe theme, it is the default GI Joe message board. His Tank came along either later or I just didn't find it until later. And it's also serves that purpose, and there was kind of like a split in the community. There's a weird rivalry between His Tank and Joe Customs, which I'm sure you've heard all about, so I don't have to go into.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
But I was just a fly on the wall for these super talented customizers. Like the craziest thing I ever saw was someone who figured out a chemical, I think it was called hypospan, where you could put an action figure's head into it and it would shrink, but it would maintain the scale. So people were taking like the big 8-inch wrestling action figures, taking the heads off, shrinking it down, and putting those heads on 4-inch GI Joes. And so suddenly you had like Commando Hulk Hogan and stuff. And it's like the science and the thinking that goes into what these people were doing blew my mind.
Ryan,
So mostly I was just there.
You have tapped into something that is extremely relevant to some of my hobby interests right now. I have been looking for months and months and months for a particular thing so that I can create my dream kill team in 40K. I want to take Space Marine armor bodies. Okay, I don't need the heads. I want to paint them white and give them blue highlights. And then I want to put Looney Tunes heads on them and call them the Space Jam Marines.
All right. So you need to find a head that you could shrink down to the right scale?
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, it sounds like that's what you're describing as possible.
Yeah, you in that case we already knew the sizes, so the amount of time you needed to shrink it down was kind of set by the scales that we're working in. I will find you the articles. I will do everything I can to help you with this.
128 millimeter scale.
28 millimeter scale, though. Param, you want to explain 28 millimeter scale?
Oh, it doesn't exist. It used to.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's not a ratio. The miniatures used to be 28 millimeters, and then there was like
well, they used to be
an arms race of like, well, my guy's beefier than yours because mine's a 29 millimeter guy.
And now you have 28 millimeter heroic, and that's 40K is 28 millimeter heroic.
Ooh. Yeah, and nothing. If you have an actual 28 millimeter miniature, it looks like maybe a tall dwarf. Like it definitely doesn't look like an average sized human.
Yeah, I've got a 28 millimeter dwarf samurai, and he looks like a gnome now.
That's funny. Well, let me look at what the actual, like the true scale of 40K is, because I really want to build the Space Jam Marines.
Well, I can tell you that it's at least 32.
I want to give Elmer Fudd a rocket launcher because he's so good. I want like one Shaq to be like the sergeant, and I give him like a basketball. You know, it'd be so good.
Did you say Shaq?
Oh,
Shaq
Michael Jordan,
Space
whatever.
Jam. Yeah, Michael Jordan.
I've never been a basketball person. I don't know the names of the players.
But if you're a Space Jam person,
I'm not really a Space Jam person either. I'm a meme person, and it is a meme.
All right, I'm gonna give another shout out to Boss Fight for thinking of everything. So this is the sealed action figure, but it's not glued or taped. It's just tabs. So I can take this figure out, play with it, then put it back if it's just for a display piece. Or in my case, I'm going to be taking it out, stealing some parts, and then I don't know if I'm going to put him back in his package or not.
All right, we are coming up on time. So anything we want to shout out to final before the episode wraps up?
Oh, there's a whole bunch of G.I. Joe movie news that I could have gotten into, but I guess I'm going to skip on that because that's opening a whole thing.
Just make sure you let me know if you want to be a guest on the next Bend the Knee. I absolutely thrive on fan engagement, so you could be on the next Bend the Knee. Make sure you're sending me your advice questions for the Dear Dova Queen blog. This blog does not exist without you, so do not forget to contribute.
And Lauren, I'm going to give a shout out to you and a tip that you gave me about how you name things. And just if someone's looking for a question for you, I recommend they ask you, how do you name things on the fly?
I have so many tips.
Oh yeah, don't answer it now. But,
I won't.
I hope somebody asks.
So one of the things I pride myself in as a person is for anything that there is to do that is worth doing, I try to come up with an easier way of doing it. And since I'm, thoroughly invested in the tabletop RPG stuff, I have a lot of tips for that.
All right, I just swapped the head so that I could show people a little bit more of a complete version, but it was a mistake because now I've got to reset some of my green stuff. But oh no, and I've got a handprint in the thigh. All right, well, picture darker hair. I'm going to make the eyes black, and I have to do something with the skin tone. Yeah, I am very glad that worked out.
You're actually hitting like the art that Shippy gave to us. It's fantastic.
Good.
Are you going to do something with the skin tone directly, or are you going to prime the model and paint from the beginning?
I might just do something directly for the neck and hope that by covering up the neck with like a leather something, like making the neck black so that there's no skin right next to each other. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do something to make the champagne flesh a little bit more, I guess, a little grayer. Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? I've got the extra pieces, so maybe I'll do a couple of things with the different heads just to see what the result is before I actually do it with the miniature proper. Where's my paintbrush? Oh, there it is. That's going to take more than painting. Damn it! I have regrets.
Oh, my fiance's in the other room having a heck of a time with those dogs.
So the most important thing about painting is clean up. So I'm washing my brush right now.
Yeah, I got to make sure that the toxic green stuff doesn't end up in the hands of my children. Who are not in the habit of putting stuff in their mouth, but like this would just be if they touch it, then touch food and put the food in their mouth. That's a bad thing.
I'm going to store
I had no idea.
my brushes inside this nice little brush compartment in the Reaper carry case for paint.
Okay. Nope. Just an update on what I was saying about the articulation earlier. Looks like one side did work out. The other one I will just have to give a little bit of a split to. But mostly I will be able to articulate him, give him cool poses.
Now, are these things that we're going to post pictures of when we're done?
I plan to.
But
I hope so, because I really want to see the things that you guys are working on as a finished product.
Here's some hints of the weapon loadout, which is going to work perfectly for Xavier.
I like it.
Yep.
Lily's weapons are just baked goods.
and sass. Baked goods and sass.
Weaponized sass.
That just comes with anything I write. I can't help it.
I think Xavier is more the one that weaponizes sass.
Literally.
Yeah, I do non-lethal damage with my sass. All right, so this was a fun paint hangout. Hopefully we touched on enough geeky stuff that people enjoyed it, because I don't think we quite delivered on the promise of talking about things other than Pathfinder stuff. But I enjoyed the conversation.
We talked about 5th edition stuff.
A little bit.
And we talked about 40K stuff.
Yeah.
That's true. And we could have talked a lot more about 40K stuff.
I hope we will. I want to ask you about that, because I know you did 40K stuff. I don't know a lot about it, so I want to hear about it.
I did a lot of 40K stuff. This will be for a conversation for another time.
Let's get maybe another geek together.
A dedicated 40K together?
Oh,
Ooh. So this is what the leftover elf looks like. This is still a very cool looking action figure. So I don't even feel like I sacrificed anything. Oh,
Well,
these boots. These
let me
boots are
get a
going to have to
picture
go.
of where I'm at on this because I
But
guess I'm about
if
to
you
call
take
it.
his boots, then he can get naked feet, right?
Yeah, and I can just paint them up. Well, because here I've got the sandals, and I've got, let's see. So this guy, I've got several non-flaming versions of him, and he's got these leg guards.
That's where I'm at.
So I can swap out the legs and give Xavier the cool boots, give this guy leg guards and sandals that if I just paint up a solid color, it won't even necessarily look like bare feet.
Looks good, Lauren.
Thank you. And let me show what the belts that I'm doing on the other side so
Oof.
folks can see the black in there.
All right,
Are you
everybody.
grunting as you adjust cameras?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
All right. So one thing I want to shout out to before we sign off is that Gen Con is just a few weeks away, 3 weeks away, and we will be having some Gen Con. And when you're at Gen Con, there's a couple of things you will want to do if you are a No Direction fan. One is make sure you attend Paizo seminars because we live streaming all of them. Or rather, if you don't attend Paizo seminars, you can watch them anyway because we're live streaming all of them in partnership with Paizo themselves. If you've watched Gen Con last year, if you watched PaizoCon earlier this year, you got an idea on what to expect. We intend to make that even better experience. We're going to do live commentation with people from Paizo during the convention and just sort of having a great time back there. As well, on Thursday at 4 o'clock, you will be able to catch a very special presentation. I think there are some tickets still available if you want to buy some tickets to attend it live at Gen Con, but they're going to do a preview game or a promo game of Pathfinder 2nd Edition on Thursday at 4. And me and Lauren are going to be players in that game, and it is going to be awesome.
And the GM is?
I'm so ready.
GM is Jason Bowman. I believe it's Jason Bowman. And the theme is we're all going to be rogues. And I think we're going to be very different rogues from each other.
Rogue is my main, so I'm really ready for this.
Also, we will be playing with a couple of members from Dragons and Things, who we played with last year and who was also on the PaizoCon panel. They're fantastic people. So we hope that you all tune in for that. You'll be able to watch it on Gen Con's Twitch channel. You'll be able to watch the Paizo streams on Paizo's Twitch channel. And of course, all of the seminars will eventually be posted on No Directions podcast stream. So those of you who are listening to us in audio only, don't worry. We still got you covered.
Yeah, I regret that I'm not going to be able to join that game this year. I had a lot of fun at it last year, but I am looking forward to seeing what you two do with Dragons and Things and with most likely Jason Bowman as your GM.
Yep. It's going to be
I
awesome.
can't wait.
Couple of other shout outs I guess I should have made earlier. So the other two responsibility I have at Blind Ferret is that I am on the Bannerless Builds team. Bannerless Builds is we make fantasy facades, which takes the idea of how you do backdrops in movies so that you don't have to make a full building if it's just going to be a background element. So we do that. We do fantasy facades. You can have an entire fantasy village without needing these giant bulky buildings that you have to put away and find storage for and build. It's just the front of the building and some columns that help it freestand. And then we've got some other terrain kits that go along with it. That's going to be set up at Gen Con. So if you're going to be at Gen Con, I don't know if we're in the catalog or if you have to find Blind Ferret and then find Bannerless Builds connected to the Blind Ferret booth. Either way, I will be somewhere around there. So if you were looking for me at Gen Con, find me in the exhibit hall, find me there. Or Friday, we are doing a prototype for the long rumored KD Con. We are going to do a bit of a meetup at Gen Con where we're going to meet up somewhere outside of the exhibit hall on Friday night after the exhibit hall is closed. We're going to go grab some food somewhere, then find a room that's big enough for whatever crowd we've gathered. We're going to post the room to Discord so that people that don't make it in time for the food will be able to find us after the fact. And we're just going to hang out. We're going to play games. We're going to chat. We're going to do whatever we feel like doing. And I'm looking forward to that more than most things at this Gen Con. It's a really cool idea that we finally get to test what kind of interest there is in that. So
I've been wanting to do KDCon for so long.
Yeah, I do think. I hope that if we do this next year, we give it some more legs, like actually submit it as an event and get a room.
Yes, that's all things we could do. I mean, like the idea for KDCon was always its own thing, not just attach it to Gen Con. But yeah, it could be a KD event at Gen Con. Anyway, whatever it is, it's if you've got time Friday night to track us down, pay attention to the Gen Con channel in Discord. And that's where we'll be posting the details as we make them up, basically. Lauren, anything else to shout out to?
No, I did my shout outs. Right
All
to
right,
me.
then.
I like it when you rat to me.
So thanks all. And we'll be doing this again in about a month or so. Gen Con's going to throw off some of our schedules. So keep posted. Keep an eye on our Facebook and our Discord and our nodirection.com. Oh, and go to patreon.com/nodirection if you feel like supporting us, because we really appreciate it.
Right.
Otherwise, we are all geeks, so we should geek together. Bye, all.